Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be covering 3 low investment champs to climb fast. So if you enjoy the content, like and subscribe and let's get into it. So these 3 champs I've picked out because they're fairly easy to learn and overall you don't need to put a lot of time into learning them to get a good result. And overall this will just help you climb through those early ranks, stop you from getting stuck where you're probably not supposed to be but can eventually climb out of. So the first one I want to cover is Zac. Zac is really strong at the moment, probably the strongest top laner in the game. Very sleeper, definitely worth playing. So to begin with, you're going to go D-Shield on Zac. You can take over Flash or Flash Ignite or Flash TP, both work. Ignite is usually better. TP scales with the elo you're in, and TP itself at the moment isn't an amazing summoner spell, so I'd recommend taking Ignite. Gives you a lot more kill pressure. For runes, fairly simple. It's going to be Grasp, Demolish, Second Wind, Revitalize. This is really going to change. For secondary tree, you're going to run Triumph. You can run Triumph Tenacity or Triumph Last Stand. Last Stand is probably better after the Tenacity nerfs. It's a pretty sizable nerf to Tenacity, and honestly, I think Last Stand is just going to be the go-to now. For minor runes, you're going to either take CDR or Attack Speed. CDR synergizes well with your kit. You want to get as much as many abilities out as you possibly can. Overall, just spamming your abilities, regenning off your passive, utilizing Revitalize, stuff like this, already helps Zac sustain through laning phase and scale up. So I'd recommend taking CDR. Attack speed does work when you're running like Heartsteel and you want to get those procs in and auto-weave a bit better. You can either take armor or magic resist, and health is going to be a go-to because you scale with health, and majority of your abilities and damage and overall kit will eventually ramp with health quite heavily. For items, Radiant Virtue is probably Zac's best item in the top lane. It takes away some of his carry potential, and it's definitely better the higher up you go. Heartsteel, definitely for low elos, and if you're into like a double AD top side, you can go options to Sunfires first. These are all options. You go like Sunfires into Jackshow or Sunfires into Radiant Virtue. Obviously, Jackshow is going to increase in price by 100, and it's going to be changed a bit. I don't think Jackshow is going to land in a great spot, so definitely stick to these 3 items. Lucidities are your go-to boots on Zac. Picking up a Dark Seal is always nice, gives you some more damage to work with. Demonics is a huge item on Zac. All of his abilities scale quite nicely with AP. Having this alongside Heartsteel, you have some incredible scaling as well. Options include Spirits for more healing and shielding. Formail if the enemy team has a lot of healing champs and you need some armor. Formail works quite well, plus the Thorns damage scales quite nicely if you have some more armor tied in, something like a Randuin's or a Gargoyles or Sunfires. Gargoyles is quite nice if you have spirits. I wouldn't recommend going Gargoyles unless you already have a lot of health. It's a very like late item you'd want to go, and you'd really only want to go if you have spirits to synergize with the shield. The Fawn also works on Zac. Lots of AP spammers, then Fawn's a good go-to. A single target doing a lot of damage, Anathemas is a good go-to. Lots of crit. Randuin's is a pretty good option. So you have a lot of options on Zac. Overall, Trump's really strong at the moment. Definitely play him. He's probably going to get nerfed next patch. Definitely the best go-to champ, I recommend. Nasus is really strong at the moment. He really benefited from the buffs to his W not that long ago, and his ult gained some QL. So overall, Nasus is in a pretty good spot. Once again, another D-Shield start. Nasus doesn't really need D-Ring. It does help him if he's going like an E-spam build, if he's really struggling in laning phase, but overall, D-Shield is going to be your go-to. You can either run Flash Ghost or Ghost TP. Flash Ghost is probably, I'd say, a slight bit better at the moment, but Ghost TP is an option. This is more common of the 2, but Flash Ghost is probably the better. For runes, this is also pretty simple. You're going to run Fleet, Triumph, Tenacity, and Last Stand. These are all pretty good options. Tenacity might get swapped out for Alacrity if the nerves hurt it that much. And you can swap out Triumph for Presence if you're going the D-Ring build, but you already see that. So honestly, just going these this core, pretty good. You can run Grasp, but for the most part, you are going to run Fleet. For secondary runes, you're going to run a Second Wind. Second Wind is really strong for sustaining through laning phase, which Nasus usually struggles in. Nasus at 6 and 9 spikes quite hard. You can beat most champions at that point. Unflinching is really nice into comps with lots of CC. You can run Revitalize or Overgrowth. For minor runes, you're going to run CDR. Nasus Q wants as much CDR as possible. And then you can run double armor, double magic resist, armor health. There's a couple options here. You mainly just want to run whatever you're laning into, as that will be the main kind of survive factor. For core, you can run any of the 3-sheen mythics. These are all really good on Nasus. Divine Sundra is his most common. Triforce is probably his best, but Iceborne has a good place if they are very armor heavy. Iceborne into something like Frozen Heart Full Melt, really good trio of items here. Lucidities are going to be your go-to boots. Lucidities are really nice for the amount of CDR they give, and they're probably Nasus's only boots. You rarely see him going anything other than this, unless maybe they have a lot of CC, and then obviously you opt into the Tenacity Merc Treads. But for the most part, Lucidities. Frozen Heart is probably his best second item. This or Gargoyles, both are really strong. Frozen Heart into high attack speed reliant comps with a lot of AD. Gargoyles for a more like a better answer into multiple damage threats. So overall, both options work quite well. You can run spirits alongside gargoyles as well. I definitely recommend this combo. Divine Sundra, really nice with spirits as well. Lots of healing through Fleet, through Second Wind, through Divine Sundra. Overall, Nasus has a lot of healing within his kit, plus his passive, the lifesteal on it. It's getting a bit help with the Q as well. Spirits is a really good option on Nasus. You can run Fawn into, obviously, your AP spammers. Full works quite nicely if you're running the armor setup. Same with Deadman's. Deadman's gives you a lot of chase potential. You can also run Anathemas on Nasus. Nasus doesn't have a huge amount of options, but these are some of the best ones, and honestly, you don't really need to diverge too much of these. You can go something like Spirit Shogun. I wouldn't recommend it, but it is an option. That's more for more like a heavy AD build. You can go with Sterix if you're going that option, but for the most part, this is going to be your core. Tahm Kench is going to be the last one. Tahm Kench is a really strong champion at the moment. Lots of lane bully potential. He beats out most champions. He's pretty safe. Got lots of sustain. You just have to be careful for your early levels pre-6, because his sustain's not as high as it used to be early, but it does scale quite nicely into mid-game. So there is a lot of strength there. For the start, you can go D-Shield. You can also go D-Ring. Not D-Ring, Dark Seal. Dark Seal is a good option if you feel like you're going to snowball through the laning phase. You run you run Dark Seal alongside refills, or you can run Dark Seal alongside triple pot. I recommend running refills. Refills are pretty strong. Then you'd run Flash Ignite or Flash TP. Flash TP usually performs better on Tahm Kench, which is surprising because Tahm Kench is very much getting kill threat in laning phase. But there is a chance because you overkill people sometimes, so Ignite isn't needed as much. I would recommend taking Ignite. It does give you really, really high kill thresholds, and just learning those kill thresholds as your Q and R create some really lethal combos, stuff like this. Overall, Tahm has a lot of chase potential. So for runes, it's going to be Grasp, Shield Bash, Second Wind, Overgrowth. You can run Unflinching. Unflinching does work into high CC comps. You can also run Demolish if you don't want the Shield Bash and you're looking to do some more sieging. For secondary runes, you're going to run Triumph and Alacrity. This isn't really going to change. You can run Tenacity in secondary runes, but with the nerfs, I wouldn't recommend it. Alacrity is really good on Tahm Kench. Lots of autos, plus the buffs to the AP ratio on the auto attacks. Tahm Kench does a lot of damage, so take Alacrity. It helps you stack up your Qs as well. For minor runes, you're going to run Attack Speed, either Armor or Magic Resist, depending on laner, and then Health. Lots of health scaling within Tahm Kench's kit. Really strong. Core, you're going to run Heartsteel. Heartsteel will probably be your go-to. I don't think you will see him going Jackshow or Iceborne. The Heartsteel Demonics combo gives him a lot of scaling. It helps him transition into late game. Definitely recommend running these two items alongside each other. You can run Marks or Swifties. You can obviously run the Steel Caps, but for the most part, these are going to be your two core boots. Into high AD comps, you'll probably run Swifties because you can itemize armor easier. So things like Sunfires and Formel make good duos. So when you're building Demonics and you're getting your passive ramped up, you can have up to 100% AP ratio on your passive, and obviously it can continue going higher. But when you hit that 100% mark, you're doing so much damage. At this point, Tahm Kench is a monster in the game. Your Q range increases with the Heartsteel size as well. So you're getting like 700 range Qs, which is higher than Caitlyn's range, for which are doing like 600, 700 damage and healing you. It's really powerful. Definitely recommend these items. All three of these are really good. You can for magic resist options, spirits works quite nicely with your shielding and your healing. You can also run Fawn, Gargoyles, both these are all three of these options are really good. Randomins into high AD comps, and Anathemas if you need to target out a single threat. So these are three fairly low skill champs I'd recommend playing. They all are really strong. They will definitely climb you towards Diamond Masters if you're consistently playing them and you're learning them as you go along. Past Masters, you'll have more difficulties playing these champs, but you can still play them above Masters, definitely. So if you enjoy the content, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.